Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So what I'm going to do in this episode, I'll talk about a briefly talk about the data model. Right now, in Health Cloud, it's very important to understand the data model, how things fit together, so that it's easy for you to configure stuff and build solution for your customer. Right now, you might know that everything works in a form of a person account in Health Cloud. What that means is that usually if you are associating yourself as a patient, right, they don't normally put you as a regular account, and then like because you're not a company, right? So you're an individual. So normally what they do, so they treat you as a person account, right? So behind the scene, if you know how the person account works, right, it works as an account and a contact that combine together. Excuse me. Um, so I'm going to show you the trailer example, so that will become more clear, right? So or you can take Charles Green example, or you can take anybody else. Right? If you don't want it to take Charles Green, you can say an example of, let's say, uh, Peter Brown or Howard, right? Right. So let's say person, right? Charles Green or Peter Brown, who it is, right? Just to keep it simple, I'll keep it as Charles Green. Has an issue with his health, right? Could be he got an injury or a kidney stone problem, right? So and decides to go and visit a hospital, obviously, right? So now he meets a physician. Let's take an example of a kidney problem, right? So Charles Green struggles with a kidney problem, right? Now he visits a hospital, uh, because of the intense pain. Now, the physician, right, who or a general practitioner who looks at Charles Green, looks at suggests a few tests, and for time being recommends some painkiller, right? Maybe ibuprofen or paracetamol or other strong pain medication, so that Charles can feel comfortable, right? And at the same time, he also refers to Charles to um, a care provider, right? So that they can look after Charles' health. Now, Charles has a wife, right? And they belongs to a general household, right? Now, how all this information will tie together in a data model, that's something we're going to look at it, right? So let's say, the Charles household name, the Green household, right? So if you look at the data model, right, let's look at uh, the data model here, right? So Charles household, it's an account, okay? Charles Green household, it means house, or so it will represent it in the form of an account in the Salesforce. And now Charles is a person account, and his wife, um, Shauna Green, is a person account as well, right? Now Charles and his wife shares a contact to contact relationship, because both are person account, and both are indirectly, sorry, not indirectly, right? They're husband and wife. They're related to each other. So from this Salesforce perspective, from a health cloud perspective, right? Charles' secondary contact is his wife, right? And so they're related to each other as a contact to contact relationship. And now Charles is related to his house in the form of account contact relationship. And the same goes for his wife as well. So if you look at this relationship, it's pretty obvious, right? What is obvious is, right, his account, his house, and his relationship with his partner all can be mapped in a data model in Salesforce, right? And this is pretty simple, right? Like I said, his is a person account, his wife is a person account, and they are related to uh, the main account, which is his house, in the form of account contact. And the same goes for the Charles account contact, and they're related to each other in the form of a contact to contact relationship. I hope that's clear. That's pretty important to know when you're building a solution, right? Data modeling is very important, in my opinion. Okay, now that's done, right? Now we look at another scenario, okay? Now, obviously, Charles has a medical insurance, right? So Charles gets medical insurance with, say, blooming health company, right? Now, obviously, Charles said to his uh, physician that he cannot drive because of his health condition, so someone has to pick him up. Okay, which is great. That's obviously understandable. Now, the child's health insurance has a cover for him, so that means that health insurance will cover the transportation cost along with his other medical bills. Okay, which is pretty simple. Now, how? So the medical insurance company is a payee, which we discussed in our one of the previous episode, right? So the payee object, right, or payee account. So that's linked to the child's account in the form of account contact relationship because obviously child is linked to uh, this insurance company, and then insurance company has a contact is linked to the transportation company, right, which provides the free ride to Charles to to take him to a clinic, right? So that transportation company has an account-to-account relationship the um, with the insurance company. That's the Blooming Health Plan. Now this all looks pretty simple, right? There's nothing fancy here. Now also, someone has to arrange to drive, or maybe someone has to take Charles from one place to another place, right? Perhaps from his house to the clinic, and from clinic back to his home. So, and that person name is, say, Anna, who arranges this transportation. So Anna and Charles shares contact to contact relationship, and Anna shares account to contact relationship with the transport company. It works, okay? So, and also Charles shares account to contact relationship with the transportation company. So you can see that how all these things are tied up, right? And when you are building a solution, right, it's very important to understand from a sharing perspective, right, how the data will be visible and shared. And if you have a sharing rules in place, you just need to be very careful how you design your data model. So what I'm explaining you is a very simple one. You might encounter the similar, the data model in a day-to-day activity when you're dealing with Health Cloud. So this, I hope this is clear from a simple perspective. Now, we haven't discussed about child's visit to, say, a primary medical care, medical center or facility, right? Could be a hospital, or could be a clinic, GP clinic. GP clinic, it means the general practitioner clinic. Now, how that will work in terms of data model, that's exactly something we're going to look at now. Okay, right. So this is a very simple data model, right? And these things, right, which you see in a light purple, it's a health cloud object. It's not a standard object, it's a health cloud object, right? So till now, what we spoke, right, is a Salesforce object. You don't really need a health cloud object to do this stuff, right? You can do pretty much using a standard Salesforce object, no problem whatsoever. Now, the things which get exciting and interesting, right, when Charles interact with a health provider. So that's where the health cloud object comes in the picture, right? Like you said, like I said, the child screen, obviously go and visit his his physician. Say in this case, Dr. Peterson, who will be looking after Charles, and and that is a part of a health cloud object, and this in turn will link to the diagnostic summary and the care performer, which is you know which links to a doctor record, and then you have the medical statement. It's about the medical. Sorry, not this one. Not this one. Not this one. I think I jumped. Or okay, this is the one. Sorry, my apologies. Okay, so this is pretty much aligned to what I just said, right? So Charles visit a clinic, right, and a doctor will look after him. So the clinic encounter is a health cloud object, okay, and now obviously the clinic encounter is linked to a few things, right? The person who's looking after, the reason for visit, right, and the encounter reason, which is reason for visit, and what's the diagnostic. and clinical service request. So clinical encounter linked to clinic facility, encounter facility, so which is linked to the hospital facility, and then encounter provider, who is the provider. So provider is this guy, Dr. Peterson. Uh, so she provides the healthcare for uh, Charles in terms of kidney issue, right? Maybe could be a urologist. And then why the reason for visit? So here, back pain, obviously because of kidney, you get back pain. I mean, I have a kidney stone. I had kidney stone in the past. I tell you, it sucks. It hurts, especially it starts with the back pain. So yeah, uh, it's I consider the kidney stone as a lifestyle disease because of sometimes um, if what I learned from my experience is to avoid salt. I don't eat salt in the food much anymore. If you're eating high protein diet, make sure you drink a lot of water, which is very important. I was very slack when it comes to drinking water. I was pretty comfortable drinking beers, but that's only happens during the weekend, right? You got to drink a lot of water every single day, which is very important. So less salt, which is I don't use salt anymore, much salt at all. Um, so you need to pay attention to those, right? So you will get back pain when the stone passes moves from your kidney and goes down to flushes out. So there's a pain. So you need to take medication, and it's not fun, right? Kidney stone can make a grown-up man cry. I can tell you that it can make a grown-up man cry. So it's that bad at times. So when Charles visit, right, obviously urologist first thing will do, okay, we'll give you some painkiller just to make you comfortable, right? So you can feel comfortable and you know come to your senses. Then we can talk about your plan to how to get the stone out. Maybe you need a surgery, or maybe we'll give a kind of a blocker, right? Beta blocker or beta blocker, whatever they say, which helps to push the stone out. Um, yeah, so something like that, right? I don't want to get into treatments, but just saying. So that's under encounter reason and diagnostic muscle augmentation strain. This is not really the case. In this case, it's kidney stone. And yeah, so this is how you normally build a data model. And I personally believe it's very important to build a data model. A healthy data model is very important. I've seen data models which is not so great, right? Because I've done a lot of work on SQL Server back in the days, right? So I understand how the stuff works. So it's kind of, and I like this stuff very much, right? It's very interesting. It's really fun work to build a data model. So yeah, that's pretty much I wanted to talk about in this episode. In the next episode, we're gonna look a little bit more about the data model, right? So I hope you guys are excited. So what I'll recommend you to do, right? Obviously, you guys want to prepare for certification, which is great. Go through the Trailhead, right, and log into the Trailhead. I'm gonna show you objects next time. But if you wanted to jump ahead, which is great, if you like to do that, just log into your org, right, and look at the open the schema builder, right, and say pick and person account or and the clinical encounter, or just see how it's mapped. You will really appreciate how the stuff uh, is built in Salesforce, especially when it comes to Health Cloud. So yeah, that's pretty much I wanted to talk in this episode. I hope you guys have an amazing Tuesday. Adios.